How's it going, guys? It's K-Cars, and in this video I'm going to be talking about some differences between the Chevy Corvette Z06 and the Dodge Challenger ScatPack, both 2016s, and the Z06 that I drove was actually the same one that has been in my previous videos. I think I recorded about 6, 7, or 8 videos with that car when I was down in Florida, so that was an insane car. This video, like I said, is just going to be talking about some differences between the Z06 and the Challenger. So first off, let's go ahead and talk about the performance. So the Challenger ScatPack comes with 485 crank horsepower. This one, with a dyno tune, has 470 to the wheels, which I believe is about 540 crank. It has long tube headers, catless mid pipes, mid muffler delete, and a dyno tune, and some other cosmetic stuff. But those are the main modifications on this car. The Z06 that I drove was completely stock, 650 horsepower to the crank, and it was insane. The main difference is obviously the weight. The Challenger weighs 4,200 pounds, specifically the ScatPack, and the Z06 I believe is about 3,500 to 3,600, which is a pretty significant difference, and you can feel it. When driving the Challenger, you definitely feel the weight, not even just in the turns, but also just in a straight line, you definitely feel that it is a boat. And I mean, I realized all the people calling this car a boat were actually right. I used to not think that. I used to be like, nah, the Challenger can handle turns as well as a Miata or any other car that handles turns well. Well, I realized that it's not true. It's just simply not. It weighs 4,200 pounds, like I said, and you definitely can feel that it does drive like a boat. It is a boat. The Z06, however, is completely different, handles a lot better, and I didn't really get to drive it like around a track or anything like that. Nothing crazy. I did do some straight line accelerations, which I will show you guys. With the Z06, the first time I ever floored that car was just on the highway. I was in completely automatic mode, touring mode and everything, nothing fancy, no sport or track mode, and I just floored it all the way, going like 70 on the highway. I got to 100 in what felt like 1 second. So here's that video clip. Oh my god. So as you guys saw, it was definitely insane. With the video, it doesn't really look that fast, but you really have to be inside the car to actually experience, like, I don't know, it just feels like a roller coaster, even faster than the fastest roller coaster I've been on. They're both good for straight line acceleration. Obviously the Z06 is going to be quicker and faster. The Challenger isn't really a slouch either though. Now the Challenger is made for straight line speed and to be a drag car, which is pretty much what it's good for. Obviously, if you put some drag tires on this Challenger, it's good at what it's made for. The Z06 could be good even stock. It could beat this thing stock at a drag strip, and I mean, I believe that. It's a lot faster. The top speed of this car is supposed to be 182. I believe for the Z06, it's a little over 200, something like that. With the Z06, I did do a second gear pull, and I'll be honest with you guys, if I do a second gear pull with this car, it won't even like go. It'll just sit there and spin the whole time. So with the Challenger, I kind of have to do a third gear pull. I know it's not the best gear to start in, especially when you're rolling from like 30 or 40. So with the Z06, I did do a second gear pull, and I'm going to include that video followed by the third gear pull from the Challenger right here. As you guys saw, when looking at the speedometer of the Z06 from the second gear pull, you could definitely tell it was climbing up a lot faster than the Challenger. Yes, the Challenger is made for straight line speed, but the Z06, like I said, has a lot more power. 650 horsepower to the crank versus the 485 crank horsepower stock with this car. Even though the Z06 isn't really made only to be a straight line speed car, it is kind of like a more all-around vehicle to drive. If you do get the Z07 package, it comes with huge brakes. I'm not sure what size or anything like that, but if you get the Z07 package, it comes with, I believe, 335 tires on the back, and I want to say 285s or 295s on the front. And the ScatPack comes with 245s all around, which is really skinny for a car like this. That's probably why I can't hook up in second gear from this car. When I did a second gear pull in the Z06, I did lose some traction a little bit, even though I did ease into it really slow. But I mean, that car just has so much power, even with the 335s. Actually, that car had 345 because the owner upgraded tires, I guess, which is a really good idea with a car like that. So even with 345s, it did lose some traction when I eased into it into second gear. I would say the Z06 is kind of better all around. The Challenger is less money. The Z06 is obviously more money, so you are going to get more performance for more money. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that the throttle response on the Challenger is a lot better than the Z06. So with the Z06, if I gave it about half throttle, it wouldn't really feel like much, but in the Challenger, if I give it half throttle, you're going really freaking fast. So I guess what I'm saying is that for the Z06, it's not really going to do much unless you go fully 100%. And I'm not really sure why it's like that. Pretty much like the first 90% of the throttle doesn't do much, and it's not really much of a difference. But the last 10% is where all the power comes in. With the Challenger, you can definitely feel the power a lot better no matter where in the throttle position you are. So with the Z06, it just comes on a lot later, and you have to give it a lot more throttle to actually feel the power and to actually like give it more gas. Now let's go ahead and move on to the exhaust. So like I said, the Challenger does have long tube headers, catless mid pipes, and a mid muffler delete. So right now, this car sounds a lot better than a stock Z06. What I do like about the Z06, the exhaust modes. So you do have 4 different exhaust modes, and pretty much you only have 2. Because stealth mode and touring mode sound exactly the same, and then sport and track sound the same. So you pretty much only have 2 exhaust modes with the Z06, even though there are 4 to choose from. Once again, to get to your exhaust controls, go to settings, and then it should just be under driving mode right there and engine sound management. So what I'm going to demonstrate is stealth mode and track mode. Like I said, stealth and tour are pretty much the same, and sport and track are also pretty much the same. So we'll go ahead and put it in stealth. I'll rev it up a little bit and then drive around a little bit in this parking garage. Then I'm going to come back, put it in track, rev it up, and drive around a little bit so you guys can see what that sounds like and how different it is. And with the Challenger, it does have an active exhaust system. So when you're at idle, the flaps are completely open, but if you're just light on the gas, it's closed up. When you're accelerating pretty hard, then they open up, so it's insanely loud. At least right now it is. When it's stock, it wasn't too bad, but right now it's crazy loud when those exhaust valves are open. So now let's go ahead and talk about the looks of the Challenger versus the Z06. For the Challenger, when you're looking at it head on, it looks amazing. Even though it does have that old-fashioned look, I guess, like the boxy look, old school retro look to it, it looks insane, and it does look modern, even though, like I said, it does look kind of old-fashioned, I guess. With the Z06, you can definitely tell that it is a new car, and it doesn't look old-fashioned at all, which is what I like. Z06 also looks a lot wider and lower. I just like that look a lot better than this kind of boxy look. Like, I'm not saying the Challenger looks bad, it still looks insanely good. Just comparing it to the Z06, I think the Z06 is going to take the looks as well. Let's go ahead and go to the back. Now on the back here, I love the back as well. I don't know, it's a hard decision comparing these two cars, but yeah, I think I'm going to have to give it to the Z06 as well, just because of how boxy the Challenger is. And I think I'm just more of a fan of how the Z06 looks. To me, the Z06 just looks like more of a race car. It's more compact, more driver focused, and yeah, that's just kind of the look that I'm going for in a car. I still love the way the Challenger looks. It's just, I like the Z06 better. Coming down the road, it has a bunch of road presence. It is pretty big on the outside, I'm not gonna lie, but on the inside, it's so compact, like a jet, like a fighter jet. Everything's driver oriented. And then the back of this car looks insane with that spoiler, especially with the Z07 package. You get that clear wicker bill that connects these two sides of the wings, I guess, together. I just can't get enough of this car. You can see it's a bit wider than the Stingray. I believe it's like 2 inches wider on each side, with the fenders right here and like the hips in the back. The hood is huge, which makes the presence like even more coming down the road. And the daytime running lights look amazing coming down the road as well. Just like how it's a 2-seater and it just slants back like that. So now let's go ahead and talk about the interior of the Challenger versus the Z06. So for the Z06, it had like a handle on the side right here where you had to stick your fingers in, and it was like an electronic thing that you had to pull. So the first thing you're going to notice is that the handle is not an actual handle, it's actually electronic. So what you want to do, it's not like a touch thing, you actually have to like put some force onto it. So basically what you do, I just use like 2 fingers right here. You basically just want to like pull on it a little bit, and then it'll open just like that. With this, it's an actual handle. Now it does have an electronic unlock. If you have the key fob on you, all you have to do is put your hand on the inside of the handle and it'll automatically unlock. And to lock it, you just press that button right there. And I don't think the Z06 had anything like that. It did have it to unlock, but I think to lock it you had to use the key fob, which isn't a huge deal. I kind of do wish that the handle was not electronic, because it kind of takes it a while to open. You have to apply more force than you would think. So go ahead and hop inside the Challenger here. And the first main difference is that the Challenger is definitely a lot more spacious than the Z06. So stepping inside the Z06, it's very low to the ground, it's very cramped, but once you're inside, it's awesome. When I sat in the Z06, it literally took me like 10 seconds to actually sit in the seat. That's how small it was. But that's the kind of look that I'm going for, especially in a car like that. It just makes it feel like such a race car, I guess. Now the Challenger also is driver oriented, just like the Z06, but I think the Z06 is even more driver oriented and compact. If you're looking for daily drivability, that's where the Challenger would come in on top of the Z06, because with the Z06, I mean, it's not practical at all. You can't really drive it everywhere. Over speed bumps, you'd probably scrape. I mean, I've been scraped on speed bumps with this car. With the Z06, you'd probably have to be even more careful than with this car, because it definitely is lower. Also, it does have back seats, so you can fit 5 people total in this car. With the Z06, it only has 2 seats. So for daily drivability, I would have to give it to the Challenger. And also, if you look at these seats, they are pretty big and they are very comfortable. Now, I'm not gonna lie, on long road trips, after about 2 hours, my back starts hurting. With the Z06, my back started hurting after like half an hour. And I had to drive that thing for about 3.5 hours from the place that I rented it from. And it was not good at all. My back was killing me. But hey, I was in a Z06, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, the Challenger is definitely a lot more comfortable than the Z06. Now I'm gonna talk about like ease of use of all the features, and I guess just the infotainment system and what everything looks like. So let's go ahead and start it up. Insane. stock exhaust. The sound never gets old. And with the Z06, you could definitely hear it, but it wasn't that loud. Here is the screen, and I will say right off the bat, it's a lot easier to use than the one on the Z06. And that's probably just because I'm used to this one, but it was a lot easier to learn as well, I think. So let's go ahead and scroll through these menus. And literally right here, all you have to choose from is up, down, left, right. I feel like for the Z06, it was a lot more confusing. I didn't really mess with it too much because I didn't really know what to do, but go ahead and scroll through these menus here. You got your trip info, and then from here you can scroll right or left. Got trip A, trip B, and then audio, I never use that. Messages, never use it. Screen setup, and then here you press OK to set up what the screen looks like. And it's pretty simple. You basically set up if you want your temperature up there, clock, mileage, if you want it to show you what gear you're in and stuff like that. It's pretty simple. You got your digital speedometer, vehicle info, and then you can scroll through here as well. Performance, fuel economy. So yeah, you can pretty much just scroll through those different screens, and it's really easy to use. A lot easier than the Z06 in my opinion. Let's move on to the infotainment system. So all this stuff is pretty similar to what the Z06 looked like, except the screen is a lot more responsive, I think, and easier to use. So you got your radio, of course, right there, media, controls. Now, I guess it is a little bit laggy, so when I said it was more responsive, it might not be true, but it's definitely easier to use, in my opinion. So, I mean, everything's just so simply labeled. I mean, it's just kind of a no-brainer on how to use this stuff. And yes, I am used to this system, so that's probably why it's easier for me, but it was definitely easy to get used to as well. So moving on to this, you got your sport button. Press that if you want to be in sport mode. For the Z06, it just had like a dial, which that was easy to use. I mean, I can't really complain about that. Super track pack brings up all your performance settings, launch control, drive mode setup, and stuff like that. For the Z06, I couldn't really figure out how to set up launch control just from the car. I had to watch a few YouTube videos on how to actually do that. There wasn't actually like a launch control setting on the car, so I would like to see that on the Z06. And also the Challenger has a lot more storage space, also because it's bigger. Like I said, on the inside, the cup holders can actually like hold drinks and bottles and stuff. You got a lot more storage space in the center console right there. You have two USBs right there and another cigarette lighter right there. And then a little bit of storage space right here, but it's really not much at all. And let's go ahead to the back and show you guys what the trunk looks like. Now, I feel like the trunk space and the Challenger is bigger only because it's deeper, I guess. The Challenger, as you guys know, is a 5-seater, so your trunk space stops at the rear seats, and as you guys know, the Z06 is a 2-seater, so it stops at the front seats. So I feel like the length of the trunk on the Z06 is longer, but the Challenger has more actual like space, which means that it's deeper. As you can see, I have all my camera gear in here. There is quite a bit of storage space, but not really anything to keep the stuff from sliding around. For daily drivability, I would also give it to the Challenger for trunk space, just because in the Z06, I feel like everything would just fly around in the trunk. And in the Challenger, I can put like my backpack or something in the corner and it'll stay there the whole time. I don't have to worry about anything flying around back here. Whereas in the Z06, it was constantly flying around, and I wasn't even driving that crazy. It was just, I don't know, it was just so flat, nowhere to actually like put any of my stuff that I had back here. So yeah, the trunk space is gonna go to the Challenger as well. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that comparison between the 2016 Dodge Challenger ScatPack and the 2016 Chevy Corvette Z06 with the Z07 package. So as you guys know, I picked the Z06 for more of the performance categories and what it looks like on the outside. And then the Challenger definitely took the win for ease of use and daily drivability and I guess like interior features. I am still a fan of the Z06, how it looks like on the inside. Like I said, I do like that it's really compact and more driver focused than the Challenger. That's kind of what I'm looking for in a car. If I were to pick a daily driver, it would definitely be the Challenger. And like I said, the Z06 is just definitely better for performance. Definitely not as comfortable as the Challenger, but hey, if you're buying a car for that much money, you're not looking for comfort, you're pretty much just looking for performance, which is what the Z06 is great at. So if you guys have any video suggestions of videos you would like to see in the future, make sure to leave those down in the comments. If you like this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.